Some primarily spends a lot of its money and resources in the collar counties of Chicago, right? So that's kind of how it works. Cook County is responsible for Cook County Jail, the Juvenile Detention Center, Stroger Hospital, Providence Hospital, the Forest Preserve, which under the Forest Preserve is also Brookfield Zoo and the Botanic Gardens. And it's the second largest county in the country. So our budget that we just passed, which is a balanced budget, is a $9 billion budget. And that budget just passed because of the ARPA money, which is the American Rescue Plan monies. We were able to do a lot of unprecedented things that the county had not been able to do, chiefly in medicine, in corrections, and in crime, anti-crime programs, youth programs. Usually the county doesn't get that deep in the woods in it, but we funded quite a few organizations as a result. All of the money that we received from ARPA, which was $1 billion, the majority of that money has been appropriated, but maybe not spent. We have until the end of this calendar year, so until December, to appropriate the balance of that money. There was a survey that was open until the 31st, so that residents of Cook County could go in and say where they think the balance of this money need to be spent. So that survey has closed. Once those survey results are compiled, then there will be information that comes out. This is based on the ARPA survey, the community survey that was sent out.
I have a question.
This is where we want to send the money.
If they don't use the funds or allocate them to a certain place by the end of the quarter, the end of this year, do they give you less next year?
They don't give you any. The ARPA money was a one-time event. That money was given to municipalities, Cook County, to the city because of the COVID.
Okay.
So it was COVID relief money. So they had the CARES Act money, and then they had ARPA money that came down, was the American Rescue Plan. So it was about giving money to businesses and stuff so they could revitalize themselves after the devastation of COVID. So like any good financial planner, just like you are for your household, if somebody give you ain't leaving no money on the table. So it's our responsibility to make sure that money is appropriated by December, and it will be. And then those organizations, many of those, we've used that money for a number of different reasons. We just balanced the budget. The budget plan will come out in November, and then the new budget comes out at the beginning of the year, where we start over, right? We reset the clock. I personally, right after the holiday, only because I think it's hard to get people's attention. It's a lot going on, and
Right.
People just have limited capacity, right? And most of the capacity that we are as everyday Americans are living is just day to day. We just trying to keep our head above water, right? We just trying to hold on to our properties, make sure our children get educated, and that our health is in check. Like, we are really in survival mode right now. And I think it becomes a lot to put some additional demands on people for their attention, which is why you have like turnout issues or whatever. I don't think it's because people are not engaged or people don't care. I think that people have limited capacity of what they can actually take on. And sometimes when you feel like you are powerless in a situation, it's difficult to take more of that on if you don't think that you're really going to be able to effectively make some changes or some differences. So at the top of the year, I will be having a state of the district announcement, because I want to be able to show the members, and I call them neighbors of the first district, this is what the county budget was for last year, 24. This is how that budget impacted the first district, and then end on what the budget is for 25, and then we'll be sharing out. But you know what I'm saying? Are you really concerned? If you live over here, are you really concerned about what happened in Harvey? No. So why would I be talking about that? Even though it was money that went out, but that's their commissioner's job to tell them how the ARPA money impacted where they live. Because my philosophy about all of this is that it's personal. Politics is personal. And I think that's where we miss a lot of people, that we don't drill down to talk about how political decisions impact your quality of life. So I try to drill it all the way down to where people are really living and working, so that they can make the connections. I try to draw the kind of like connect the dots. so that it's not so ambiguous or so esoteric, or like people don't get it. A lot of organizations, well, let me just speak for county. County is doing a whole lot, but if you're not able to drill down on that very personal connection, then people are disengaged, because ultimately we're selfish and we want to know how this is impacting me, and that's a very real place to be.
Yeah, can you also too, with that money, could you tell us where was some of it appropriated? Or
yes, I can. The majority of that money, well, I'm gonna say this. So you want the ARPA money or the budget? Because those are, so the ARPA money, almost not exclusively, it went into infrastructure. So in the municipalities, so Bellwood, Maywood, Hillside, in the first district, they did a lot of repiping, because we are dealing with plus 100-year-old infrastructure. So it went into repairing pipes, it went into changing lights out, it went into repairing sidewalks, and it went into a lot of youth programs, it went into anti-violence programs, it went into anti-drug programs. So it went into stuff that historically the county is not able to really fund.
What about immigrants? Did you have any of that money?
Some of that money did go into new arrival money. The portion that went into it, that's almost kind of from the county position, went for medical care. So anybody that showed up at clinics owned by the county. So if they showed up at Cook County Hospital, because when some of the new arrivals came, there was some question about they don't have the same immunization issues or standards that we have. So we was still dealing with a lot of COVID. So some of that went to healthcare and evaluations and screenings. Some of that went.
Was it housing for immigrants as well?
Not from the county. The county did not.
That was the rumor.
I know the vitriol, but can I just say something really? And we're gonna cut across the field on this whole immigrant thing, if you want to delve into it, and I don't mind, right? But it did not go into housing. It went into primarily from the county healthcare, and then there was some monies that we put in an emergency fund. So I don't know if you all are West Siders. 2 years ago, this July, there was a storm, and a lot of basements flooded over here in Austin. And so, as a result of that, I was only the commissioner for like 2 weeks when that happened. And so I went with a brother, G2 Brown, who's running for elected representative school board now, and we literally gathered money and stood out on the corner and gave out supplies. That was just me as an organizer. That was just me in terms of like, what do we do? Now, me as an elected official during that time of crises was told, because it happened in the city, it was really the responsibility of the aldermen, Talia Farrow and Emma Mitz. And I'm sure they did some stuff, because there were some things that we worked together on. My position was the water don't know the jurisdiction. So if you got, if I was endowed with an opportunity to serve, I want to be able to use this office for the opportunity to serve. So I reached out to Salvation Army and some other organizations myself, so that we could get cleaning supplies and other things like that. And I worked exclusively with FEMA and the Office of Emergency Management, IEMA, which is the Illinois Office of Emergency Management, and the Chicago Office of Emergency Management. And I worked with the mayor when he provided the additional $5 million in relief to residents exclusively on the west side. So I worked with Emma and, Alderman Mitz and Alderman Talia Farrow and the mayor, but really I worked with Ted Berger, who runs the Illinois office for FEMA, to get relief for the west side.
Okay.
And so we were able to do that. And we had centers set up all throughout the west side where people can walk to and go to get relief and to apply for small business loans if that's what they wanted to do, or if that's what FEMA was advising people to do. And for some of them, they were, like for beauty shops and other people, but it was a small interest loan and all of that sort of thing. So that was,
how much money is left?
For that, no, I don't. But that's because they deal with crises very specifically. The crisis, and this is how it works. And so, when a crisis happens, like the flood, there are levels to understanding. So first of all, some of the local municipalities declared it an emergency and declared it a crisis. That forced the governor to declare the crisis. Before FEMA can come in, The governor has to declare a crisis. So what happened to in July of 2022 was some of the municipalities, mayors declared a crisis because Berwyn and Cicero and those spaces flooded too. And then President Pretwinkle declared it a crisis because she's over the county. And then the mayor weighed in and put some pressure. But really, where the real work happens, when that kicks the money in, is when the governor declares it a crisis. And then when the governor declares it a crisis, then the governor puts pressure on the federal government, and then the president has to declare a crisis. But this is something we should all know as residents, specifically Black on the West Side in these communities. We have had 3 declared crises in 2 years from the federal government. That's due to environment, and that's due to poor infrastructure. So we are sandwiched between an environmental crisis and an infrastructure crisis.
So, I used to be one of the district counselors for 49th Ward. And so, one of the things that, we've done, of course, that, we were charged with letting people know exactly what those things are, what they do not know. All the red tape and all the things like what you just explained. And thanks for explaining, but because they don't explain these to me, they don't get down to the real conversation of why these communities do not have any money. And so with the next census coming up, how many years now? But anyway,
6.
Yeah. So and so Nate, this is for you as well. What is your organization and you all as well, the commissioners? How are you guys going to get these communities to understand about the census? Because that's one of the reasons why the West Side and the South Side do not get those money, because our Black communities are the number one people we do not do the census.
Yeah.
And that's why our communities suffer so much. So before the census come up, what do you guys plan to educate the community on signing those?
So let me say this, unless you want to take it.
You can.
Okay. So let me say this about your census in particular. But please, guys, ask me whatever you want to ask. Like, don't just sit there and this is a round table, so it's a conversation, right? So I know, but I'm saying to the 3 gentlemen in the back too, and right here, let's be in conversation with each other, because I'm not the holder of all knowledge. And I think you got historical context and historical knowledge that is germane to the conversations that we got to have right now. But to your point, it's the way we communicate to Black people. So I'm a teacher by training. I'm an educator. So I've taught more than I've done anything else except be a mom.
Over 20 years.
So the lens in which I see the world is as a woman, as a Black woman, as a mother, as a teacher. This new space, as an elected official, is still through the lens. Hey, brother, hey. It's still through that lens, right? And the reason I wanted to stay through that lens is because I don't want to be separated from my roots, because I'm here as a conduit for the people. I'm not here as Tara. I'm here as a pipeline to community. So I don't ever want to lose that base, right? I'm never really concerned about, and I think what the danger that I find in electoral politics is that people get to it and they get comfortable in it, and rather than be worried about doing the people's business, they get worried about being reelected. I'm really not concerned about being reelected. I'm concerned about, God gave me this opportunity to serve. I'm gonna serve, and if I get voted out, then I'm good with that, because God gave me this when I became a woman of a certain age. So I'm very clear that if God say no, I say thank you. I'm not tripping on that, right? So I think the moment that we in calls for courage that we don't always have. But to the point, that talking to our people about the census is not something that happens once the census starts. The gap between what we know, what we need to know, and what we think we know can fill this community. And so I think you got to meet people where they are. You got to have information that makes sense. You got to be able to connect the dots, and I think that starts right away. So what I've been trying to put into action, and I'm going to commit myself to putting it into action like immediately, is a podcast called Politics is Personal. So I want to be able to put myself in a position where I'm always educating people about what is at stake and what people don't know, like how all of these different levers get pulled, how do they move, what the census is actually about. Do you know, this is just trivia since you talked about the census, but this is the other thing, to attend to the very real hesitation and suspicion that Black people feel in this country. Black people don't necessarily participate in certain things because they don't want to participate in certain things. Our history in this country is riddled with pain, suffering, deceit, exploitation. And so we bring disinformation. And so we bring all of that to these spaces, and very rarely is it acknowledged, right? You can't change it, but acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it's a real truth. Acknowledge what the hell y'all did. Acknowledge what the hell y'all are doing, right? And so, you know, when somebody lie to you, the lie is the problem, but really it's their failure to admit that you effed up.
Mm-hmm.
I think America has a problem with admitting it effed up. It is effed up with all kinds of people, but no people more so than Black folks. That's just period, point blank. We can argue that if y'all want to, but there is empirical data to support the travesty in which Black people have been handled in their own country, right?
True.
So I think for me, it starts with education in its smallest essence. But the other thing that Black people need to understand about census is census are historical documents. If you do not participate in the counting of your participation on this planet, you are missing the opportunity. Say you were there in a historical document. Those people who are like my sister's really into this genealogists. They depend on the census. The census is a critical document in tracing our history. Mm-hmm. You know what else is a critical document? And I didn't really treat it like that. Obituaries. Yeah. Our primary resources. The census is a primary resource. Do you know who owned the slave census? Owned them. Like they bought them. Anybody know who owned the slave census? The Mormon Church.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
The Mormon Church bought the slave census. So when you're trying to do a genealogy study that goes past 1863, they own all of those files. Now this is, you know how I learned that? I was at Emma Mitz's gospel thing about 5 years ago. And the Mormon Church was out there. I was like, why are they here? They were like, they didn't say we own the slave census, but they said, do you want to find your ancestors? Do you want to know whatever question they asked? And I said, yes. They said, do you know your grandmother's first and last name? I said, yes. I know my grandmother's first and last name. They took my grandmother's first and last name and right there on the spot printed out my grandmother's census in real time. So in that moment, I saw who was in my grandmother's house. I saw my mother and her siblings' name. I saw my grandfather's name. I saw all of this, but they own it.
And they own the DNA thing too. So, Commissioner, I have a request. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for coming out.
If I had known sooner, I would have promoted it.
Just call and just get on your phone right now. Go live and tell them come on out. Okay.
Friends, my bro, how you doing? My brother.
Where you live?
Hello, how you doing?
How you doing? I'm rude as hell. Lathrop.
Yeah.
But do you be at Humboldt?
Yeah, Humboldt.
I think didn't we meet?
Yes,
with Jose?
yes, Jose.
This is who I was talking about. Y'all already leave.
Small world. Wow. Shalom.
I like
How's
this.
everybody doing, my brother?
So, Arjun, so get this brother Ahmed in Humboldt Park doing the primary. So, sir, you had a question for me.
I probably live on the hillside part of the district. I live in the hillside.
Okay.
I still agree, as I'm sure we all do, and the commissioners, passing with dear brother.
Dennis Deere.
Dennis Deere. And quickly, he was one of our staunchest supporter of our initiative called Get Clear Chicago, the campaign to break the generational cycle of recidivism. And we tagged it the generational cycle of recidivism because there's a lot of groups that PLCCA, with whom we're working with, is Real in the Game Commissioner. But there's a lot of groups out there that's playing at this second chance initiatives here. And the event you came to, of the 65 people that attended at Zoe Live, 30 went to Rap Sheet Day that Friday at the police station. 25 have got their record sealed or expired. But that's because we tracked them through the system. We had a reporting out conference back in May at the Field Foundation downtown. But here's my ask, and which we were able to accomplish with the late brother, Dr. Deere. One of the things that is unique to our approach is that we would submit our rap sheets to a designated person in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Because as you know, and others may not know, by in current Illinois law, the State's Attorney's Office, the Corporation Counsel's Office on behalf of the Chicago Police, and the Illinois State Police, by law, have 60 days to challenge a petition for sealing and expungement. So, Commissioner, just come on here. So 1 week, like I'm at my house. Anyway, come on through the back door. Anyway, Commissioner. So we would submit the rap sheets to a designated person in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office for review to determine for us which petition they may potentially challenge and those that they may not. So therefore, those that they didn't, they said, well, we may not challenge, we're not going to challenge these petitions. We will go forward with that, with those petitions. And then those that they said they may question or challenge, usually what they call public policy grounds or something subjective, which there's no guideline for. We would like to work with you to have that same relationship with whomever the incoming state's attorney is, where we have a designated person with whom we can submit our rap sheets to for pre-submittal review, because the state's attorney's office is the first line of review, and then they go to the state police office, the state police, and et cetera. And usually the other two enforcement agencies will follow the lead of the Cook County State's Attorney. But again, that separates us from what the others are doing. We work very closely, you may recall Cabrini Green Legal Aid was there. So they're our go-to legal partner, not only for the information sessions, which we have done here at ABC Gym 2 years ago, but we got a process, but that's a critical part of the process, is being able to have that pre-filing determinative review by the state's attorney.
So let me say this.
Yes.
Brother Dennis Deere became very dear to me.
Yes.
Because he kind of embraced me right away. He was the first person that night when I got the appointment to call me and congratulate me. And I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. He's a member of Omega Psi Phi. And so, you know, he always regarded me as sister or soror. And so we were able to build on that relationship. I personally, I have my own agenda, but a big part of me continuing in this work is to lift up and amplify and hold on to and continue a lot of the work that my dear brother Dennis Deere did.
Yes.
So I welcome this partnership to keep that alive, and to keep that and expand it and grow it. I've also am championing food is medicine. There's a critical connection between our communities, food deserts, nutritional deserts, the crap that they're giving our babies in school, and the impact that it's having on our emotional, mental, physical well-being. So I was very much so involved in that food is medicine work that he started.
Right.
And I am beyond a champion in my own initiative is mental health supports. So primarily young people. A lot of people don't realize this, but our young people, 12 to 24, are in the middle of the mental health crises. They have the highest rising rates of suicide, and nobody is, I'm not gonna say nobody. I think in our own little silos, we are recognizing it, but the federal government or the state government has yet to acknowledge it as a crisis. But when you have an increase of that has risen in the last 5 years by 60%, it's a crisis. So, but I am more than willing to. So for those who don't know, my office is at 6614 West North Avenue. Any week other than county board week, but you got to look at the calendar. It's usually the third week of any month, but it changes during November and December because it's holiday. And I'm usually in my office Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, half day on Wednesday and Thursday. And the reason that's because then Monday and Friday and half day on Wednesday, I'm at CTU. So I'm still got both hats. I still wear both hats. But, and if you need to contact me, I might have cards in my,
So
when the
we
guy
want
pulls
to
up.
interact directly with you, because what we used to do is give the petitions to Commissioner Deere, and then he would forward them to the contact.
That's okay. We can talk offline and we can go through that whole process and you can come to the office and walk me through the whole thing. And then I'll find out who at the state's attorney's office. As a matter of fact, before my Sarah Kim Fox get up out of here, I asked her who directly that was so that we can cut across the field on it and she could just let me know. And we could just continue and expand.
Thank you.
Yeah, now one of the concerns that most of the young voters who were turning 18, a lot of them saying that they couldn't find jobs close in their own neighborhoods. They got to go out, they got to get on 2 buses, take a train, and go out and get jobs. And all these other people in other places, they say, well, they can just go out and get a job as a teenager, just take a couple blocks. We got to travel blocks and areas away to find work. What are some of the programs that they're having to create jobs for the young?
Well, the city actually took the initiative on creating the jobs.
Okay.
That was a big part of the mayor's promise, and that's a big part of what the mayor was able to do. And he hired 28,000 young people this summer, and he's continued with thousands of those jobs in community now. I do not disagree that the young people are finding challenges in their own communities. However, I will say this, any thriving community organization has gotten thousands of dollars from Cook County just for what you're talking about. So whether it's PLCCA or BUILD or Westside Health Authority or Westside Rising, some of these real big organizations and growing organizations, Austin coming together, they have been the recipients of a lot of grant money through I'm trying to think of the grant program, the Justice Advisory Council, which is through Cook County, and through a lot of those grants. So if they are not getting jobs within the county, because that's my auspices, then what I can do, because I deal with specifics, I don't really do well with generalities.
Right.
Because I just don't do well with them. I need to know who said that. What did they say that about? Who did they try to get a job from? A lot of the stuff that we do is not based on fact, it's based on feeling. And I can't defend feelings. I'm not gonna tell you they're not real, but I can't defend feelings. I can defend facts. I can defend where the money went and where the money was supposed to go and who was supposed to get it. I can defend that. I cannot defend when you walk outside your house and you see some construction going on and you don't see Black people on it, and so you got an attitude about it, and then your conversation becomes them, they. I can't defend that because I don't really know who them, they is. I don't know who them, they got the money from. And guess what? I'm not really even concerned. You know why? Because I want Black people to be concerned about their own business growth and development. I don't want it to be in comparison to what anybody else is doing. If Black people started minding their own damn business, spending their money with their own damn people, educating their own damn children, and stop expecting for our slave masters to free us, we wouldn't be having this same conversation. Stop expecting for America to do for you more than the woman you said. Stop expecting America to be truthful and honest with you when she don't have a history of doing that with anybody.
Yep.
Nobody. So as an American, as a citizen of Cook County, yes, you need to hold your institutions and your elected officials accountable. Yes, the hell you do. But you know what you also got to do? You got to participate in your own rescue. That means you got to organize your people. That means you got to educate your people. That means you got to understand what the demand is. That means you need to study your enemy. That means you need to be 2 steps ahead of the game. That's what that means. That don't mean that you wake up on Wednesday and see new construction and on Friday you got a damn attitude. Because they don't give a damn about us being upset. You know why? Because our anger don't lead to action. Until our righteous anger leads to righteous action, they're going to keep doing whatever they're doing, whoever the proverbial they is. Right?
I want to expound on what you're saying. Going back to talking about the consensus. If you're not counted, how can help any team? And,
Right.
and like I said before, our communities, especially the south side and the west side, is the largest proportion who do not fill out the consensus. The consensus is the one that give you your hospitals and all those things you need. Help this organization, help this things
well,
that the community. But that money is allocated for that.
Mhm.
And if you're not counted, where did that money go?
So this is the deal with the census.
all the communities.
Not for lack of everybody who's that got some of that Cook County census money. It's not for lack.
No. Let's stop because we're conflating 2 issues. And I don't have. Let's stop.
No.
That's the teacher. Give me a minute. Because I don't want us to conflate the issues. On one side, we're talking about census and the lack of people, specifically Black people, participating in the census count.
That's true.
That has a direct relationship to how federal monies flow into our community.
Mhm.
So that's a very legitimate concern that he's bringing up.
Yes, it is.
There's a brother out here named Howard. I want to give me a minute and I'll get to his last name. You may know it. Tavares. He ran against Emma Mintz in this last election. Ray Howard. Ray Howard has done some very extensive study on the census, Black people not being counted in the census, Black people being undercounted in the census, and its impact on the Black community. But I honestly think that's 2 different conversations, right? And I don't want to get out of my wheelhouse on it because a person like Ray Howard can speak better to that issue because he's studied it and he understands it and he's worked toward it. What I can say is what the facts are, what the census is used for, how that money flows to our community, and how it doesn't flow to our community when we don't use it. Yes, ma'am.
While we still on census, you know, they, 2020 was the census, but they canceled the census in 2020. They didn't finish the count.
I don't know about they not finishing the count because it was COVID and so all kind of mess going on
I signed up again
with the census. I did my census. I encourage all Black people to do the census. I encourage all Black people to do whatever you're supposed to do to fully participate in this government because it's yours.
Now they're saying to improve the census, they are thinking about having an app to make it easier for
An app?
Yeah, an app where they
Okay,
can-
I'm gonna say this about the apps, right?
Yeah.
And this is just it. And then I'm gonna get off the census because it's not my wheelhouse.
Mhm.
And I don't want to sit here and waste our time speaking about something for which I don't have expertise on.
Okay.
Right? It's like when people who ain't never taught try to tell me something about the classroom. Have you ever taught? Okay, then you really can't tell me about that. All right. So what I will say about this, and I'm gonna say this to us as concerned citizens in this room, everything that is put into place to make our lives easier is also put into place and will eventually replace you. So the danger that we face, the imminent danger that we face as humans is the things that we keep wanting to be easier, and then you see it's replacing a workforce. For example, you didn't used to bag your own groceries. You didn't used to ring your own groceries up. Now you do. So what happened to those jobs of the people who used to ring your groceries up and the people who used to bag your groceries. They no longer exist. And the easier it becomes, and when corporate America, capitalist America, see that their bottom line gets fatter as a result of not having that human being there, then you're going to see more of those corporations move toward removing people and replacing them with machines.
Mhm.
So that's the imminent, call it a danger that we face. So how do we, as a group of people, prepare ourselves for this imminence? We have to be very, very astute about AI. We have to stop fighting technology and learn it. We have to make sure that our children are not just tech savvy enough to play the new damn game or order some ones offline, but they are also learning how to code, learning how to write language. We have to make sure of that. Are you going to wait for them to fund the schools properly to make sure that happens? That's a fight we're trying to win right now. People don't even understand what this whole elected representative school fight is, but I got expertise in that area, so if y'all want to talk about that, we can. What I am saying is there's so much of what's happening right now that that responsibility for us as parents, as elders, is going to be that we got to make sure that we secure this for ourselves.
Commissioner, I am peeved off about Kamala's blackmail agenda. The best you can offer is.
First of all, we're not going to start like that.
Well, what happened? You want to keep it off there?
No.
Conversation.
No,
I'm not criticizing her.
Wait. First of all, I was in the middle of a sentence when you broke out.
I'm
Now, if
sorry.
you want to keep this real, know where I'm from.
All right.
And then we get real.
All right.
So if you want the smoke, I can give it to you. What I'm trying to have is a very sophisticated, real conversation about what's at stake.
And you're doing fine.
All right. So if you ready to bust out and tell all of that, we can do that, but it's going to be some decorum because they invited me to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Next,
So,
can I just-
yes, ma'am.
Just so you know, again, this is a round table. Everyone is welcome to join the discussion. Also, I have tons of food back here that I need to get rid of. So feel free throughout the conversation. You can talk and eat at the same time. I have sandwiches, I have chicken, I have fries, I have chips. You make a thing.
All right. Now, how you doing? A good break? All right. You as well. Okay, here we go. It's 3:00. I got another hour. Let's get it. And then everybody can chime in. So, what is the agenda that you speak of?
Oh, okay. Well, one of her blackmail agenda, if I recall correctly, please, if I misspeak correctly, I'm fine with that. One of the points was providing more equity for black men to participate in the cannabis industry. I get where she's going with that, but you know, it makes me wonder sometimes, Commissioner and friends, who do they talk to and come up with these positions? Because in the work that I'm doing on criminal justice reform, and the work I'm doing around expungement and sealing, whereas cases at the state level, certain felony classes can be sealed or expunged, and that's as a result of organizing and advocacy and changes in the law going back to 2007. Still, there's low-level federal. If she had came out and said, "I'm going to make it," I'm going to create a pathway for sealing and expungement of low-level federal offenses. Now you're talking about something. In my line of work, you're talking about something. Because when I get brothers and sisters, the record sealed at the or expunged at the state level, depending on the employer, depending on their opportunity, they can go back and find that federal conviction.
And that's got you all riled up.
It's got me riled up.
Okay.
Because to me, you didn't speak to something that's real.
No, it didn't
for the
speak
work
to
that
something
I
that's
do.
real for you.
Well, I said that is the work that I do.
I get it.
But it's a real problem.
No, I don't
For
doubt
me.
that. We know that it's a real problem. This is my concern. That we find that one thing that's a real problem for us, and we get so worked up about the real problem for us, that we stop thinking about the other pathways.
What's the other thing?
The other pathways to actually get somebody in office that can actually listen to what the hell you're talking about.
if we could get in front of her or representatives, yes.
If you can get the damn people you need to get elected, starting from her all the way down. If you think let me ask you this, so let's just get with it. You think that's something that Trump interested in?
Oh, absolutely, he's trying to announce it.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, we gotta, and we gotta continue in the organizing and advocacy that you are doing. And we have to collectively get in front of those. We gotta create the pipeline and then sell it to the people who can make it possible. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. And so I appreciate you saying the state statutes that's put certain things in place. And I think you began to organize and pull on that thread all the way through. But she goes in, I'm good. She goes in, or she says what she says, right? And I can hear your offense to it. I can. And I agree with what you said about low-level crimes at the federal level. But I also agree with the point that you brought up, because Black people do need parity and equity with the cannabis industry.
Agreed.
Right? They kicked the damn door down on the cannabis industry, and then they made the qualifications for getting legal cannabis inaccessible to the same damn people that was being criminalized for it. That's America at its best, right? So Black folks were saying, yeah, make it legal, but America will make any damn thing legal once they figure out how they can make money off of it. America will make prostitution legal if they can tax it. America does not have the morality as a country to say no to anything that's going to make them money. The only reason that we sit and have this fake shock, this pseudo concern about the ridiculousness that we see at the higher level is because we don't have the kind of money to do it. But the way that America has behaved, not only with its original citizens, but everybody else in every other piece of country that they then went to, they've left it worse than when they found it.
Right.
That is the practice of American capitalism. So, how do you begin to operate in this inoperable situation? That is the conundrum that we find ourselves in. And the reason that I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say Tara, that I get so frustrated with it because it renders me with this kind of helplessness that I don't like feeling. And so to empower myself, I begin to operate within my circle of influence. What does that mean? That means I begin to knock doors, talk to, organize the people who are closest to me. I make sure that everybody in my family is registered to vote. I make sure everybody in my family understands what's going on. And then I keep bringing out those concentric circles and building them out. A lot of that is organizing. A lot of it, because you got to be ready to participate in your own rescue.
Right.
The problem that I found with a lot of our people, they want somebody else to do the work for them. Well, that ain't gonna happen. So that ain't gonna happen. So as long as we waiting for somebody else to come in and do the work for, even if that's something they're supposed to do. By human nature, people only do what they're supposed to do is when they're forced to do it, right? If I didn't know my mama would wake me up with a whacker because her kitchen wasn't clean when I went to bed, then I would have went to bed with some dishes in the sink. But I understood that there was going to be a consequence. We are living in a society so often where the consequence is not immediate and it's not swift. And thus, anything unchecked metastasizes. That's the world that I live in. So who is going to put the boundaries on what metastasizes and what does not? Well, that becomes your personal responsibility, both in your house and in your community as a citizen. What is your level of involvement? You done found your lane. How many other people within your circle of influence do you need to be adding to your lane to begin to expand what you're talking about, which is very real, which is a very real and present barrier for access to the quality of life that our people and all people deserve. We're right now in a moment of addition. We have to be adding people to this conversation.
Commissioner, if I may, What do you do when you have an elected official? Don't call no name, I'll be respectful. When you have an elected official who sponsors a bill that you advocated for, you come down there to Springfield, and they duck and dodge like they're running from the very bill they sponsor. You can't find them, she's not even communicating that the committee hearing time has changed. And what do you do when your own elected official runs and ducks and dodges the bill they don't sponsor?
You vote.
Okay,
You vote.
you know, you organize and get them in, and you organize to get them out.
I didn't, I'm sorry.
I said this is the thing, about elected officials. It's a position. The same way you elect people in, you're gonna elect people out.
Organize and elect them out. That's how
And it's about, organizing around your anger to turn that anger into action.
Exactly.
Nobody gives a damn about you rallying and being pissed off and we gonna march on you on Springfield. This is what you organize people money.
Come on.
I'm not in it. I'm gonna tell you something. I will do some rallies, I will do some other things, but you know what I'm really, really on? Like for real on? Organizing our money. Because Black lives matter to some Black people some of the Black time. Black money matters to all the people all the time. Because Black people have the biggest spending power, period. We spend trillions of dollars every year with people who don't give a damn whether our children have an education or not. People don't care if we die and bleed out in these streets or not. But you know what we turn around and do? We be mad for about 12 minutes, enough to get from Sister Rhoda Austin. And then we turn around and the same people that's poisoning our people, that's disrespecting our people, that's harming our people, we go and spend money with them. You know, the way that I see it is, and I always break stuff down in relationships, and Brother Nathan just said something to me, but I always break, because I try to talk to people in a language that they can understand and connect it out with. So you date this girl, right? You dating your partner. And you do something bogus like, oh, cheat. And you get caught. And she get mad as hell. You know, she gonna break the windows out your car. She gonna do all of that. And she do it maybe, right? But then about 7 days later, because that's about as much staying power as we got. If we really love you, we got about a good 7 days in us before we'll listen to y'all. And if on that 7th day, she entertain you and she let you come back to the house, and heaven forbid, she actually give it up, do you really give a damn that she broke your window? You don't even care no more. You know why? Because your end game was to get her back. Your end game said, well, I'm still hitting the penny, so what do I really, I'm still getting with her. Do I really care that she snapped out? That's the same way America treats us. So we the chick. America be like, she gonna be mad for a few minutes. And I'm gonna let her be mad, because that's my boo. So I'm gonna let her be mad. But in a minute, I'm going to double back on her. I'm going to bend the block on her, and we're going to be back at it again. And how we get back at it, because we at the stores on Black Friday, we spending all our insurance, we got our tax refund. So we at the store, and we getting our nails done, and we going to buy our hair, and we getting BBLs and the TTTs and the da-da-dee-da. And so we spending. And as long as we spending, don't nobody really care about our righteous anger. Because we don't know how to make that anger mean anything. And the way you make your anger mean something is you stop spending your money. And you vote. So if you can, Black people can control two things they do. They control their vote and they control their spending power. If you consolidate it on your vote and if you consolidate it on your spending power, then the way you're trying to move an agenda will make a whole heap of difference. But we don't invest in our electeds. This is the other thing we don't do. We get elected representatives, but we let somebody else pay for them to get there. Now, if you go to dinner, you know how men be at dinner and they fight over the check, but not really, but that's a story. So you there with your girl, and he there, and he said, no, man, let me get the check. And you like, no, man, I'm gonna get the check. And he said, no, man, I got it, let me get the check. And you let him get the check. Don't ever let another man pay for what your woman doing. So why do y'all let other people pay for y'all elected officials? Black people are black electeds, but in many ways they owned by somebody else because black people don't put their money on their candidates.
And that's why that's why gentrification is as big as it is.
That ain't the reason gentrification is. We
Yeah,
got a whole
all these
nother.
aldermen-
We can go down a whole nother rabbit hole about gentrification because this story is old as time. But we can talk about it because we got some time to talk about this 306. But what I'm saying is, we make our elected officials more accountable by A, supporting them when they're right and dealing in them in private when they're wrong. But we A, don't support them, don't put money behind them, and then the moment they do something that we disagree with, we put them on blast in public. We blast our people out. We set our people out to the nation. So the moment you set your people out to the nation, but you basically have opened the door for other people to come in and criticize your people. Remember when your mama used to say, you fight your sister in the house, but you don't never fight outside, you don't never talk outside my house? We was raised to not talk outside. I was raised, let me say how I was raised, by Marion Stanley. In my mama's house, what happens in my house stays in my house. Me and my sister duke it out of my house, we duke it out of my house. But when I get to that street, we better have a united front. That's how I was raised. What I have noticed in recent electoral politics that we don't abide by that anymore. Black people set black people out. We set our women out. Anybody seen any other ethnic group talk about what their women are or are not?
No.
Anybody? You ever seen some white man on a video on the TikTok talking about this why I don't mess with white women? No. You ever seen any Latino go on the TikTok or the Instagram and say this is why I don't mess with Latino women? No. And if you went down the whole spectrum of other ethnic groups, the answer would still be no. So why do our people feel so comfortable setting us out to the world, holding us up to the Bureau of the World, saying regard the loveless? Our own people say to the public that we are not worthy of love. So how then can we feel protected or edified or empowered if everywhere we go and everything we turn on, our people are saying, no, they're not worthy? How do we do that? So when that happens, it's not just the woman you sleeping with, it's the daughter you made, it's the black mama that raised you. And so it's that. And then when we're talking about electoral politics, have y'all seen Chewy say anything about any of those Latino aldermen down there? No. Have you seen Gutierrez? Have you seen any other elected? Have you seen any Latino elected official badmouth any Latino official?
No.
Do you think they all get along and behind closed doors is kumbaya?
No. But you did see Lori Lightfoot argue with her black people.
What I'm saying is, I think we've all seen the examples of it, and I think that behavior too hurts our movement. It hurts our people. It hurts our community. When we don't vote, when we don't participate in the census, it hurts our people. It hurts our community. There's a direct correlation to your voting power and your financial power. There's a direct correlation. Little vote, little power. Big vote, big power. It ain't hard.
Speaking of voting,
Go ahead, sir.
speaking of voting, let's talk about this election that's coming up.
Come on.
How important it is.
Before we talk about that, Coach Lee,
310.
can I introduce a dear friend of mine,
Yeah, you can.
Robert Renfrew?
Yeah.
He's my collaborator. He's a dear, major piece of my collaboration with the charter schools I speed on, with PLC, say this name a few, and I was able to hire my partner in crime, Nate, my brother in arms in boxing, training a lot of underprivileged at-risk youth like I was and he was. And he's a dear piece to that, man. He'll like to introduce you, to hear him out, see what he does, in all of our communities. We've been friends for close to a decade now doing the work, for our people in the community. So here's my community brother, Robert Renfrew.
Wow. Speak up, brother, speak up.
So that you're a teacher.
Stand up, stand up.
I brought you a packet. Let me give it to you. I became an author almost 18 years ago. I was the guy who built all these Spin Cycle and Bubble Land laundromats over Chicago. That's the business I was in, building laundromats.
Yeah.
But I said, you know, when our children have to learn how to dodge a bullet before they learn how to read, we have a problem. And I want to do something about that. So I self-funded this project I'm going to give you, and we partnered with Chris to bring academics and athletics to the table to educate our kids, because they're not all going to be champions, right? So we have to have some small background on their education for trade.
Sure.
So what I did is I put together a bilingual book series, had a curriculum developed by CPS. I paid them off duty to do it in line with the Illinois State Learning Standards that addresses critical thinking, conflict resolution. So within this packet, there's a curriculum for schools. It's gifted at no cost to middle schools and high schools. I sent it to schools across the country and around the world now. I became an ambassador for the WBC about 10 years ago, and I just got endorsed this year in June worldwide by the WBC, adopting this program in 176 countries.
Explain to them who the WBC is.
It's the World Boxing Council. Okay. So
Thank you for that.
the curriculum is very important. We have, in 2018, they took $2.5 billion away from after-school programs because somebody in DC said it's not relevant, right? It doesn't work. Well, how would they know? Number two, we created a faith-based curriculum as well. So I work with the churches around the country and around the world. So in this packet is a book series, 2 curriculums that are gifted, and I'd like to be a resource for you. This is an anti-violence prevention program, creating a culture of calm by peace building to literacy and education. So this package is for you.
Thank you.
And my contact information is in the, you can reach out to me. I'm the author of those books. Fred McClendon is my brother, Nate, a good friend as well, and I'm here to be a resource and help you in any way possible.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, let me offer this. Let me offer this. So in my other life, and with my sustained relationship with, as an educator, I am the administrator of new teacher development at the Chicago Teachers Union. On November 9th, I will be having my first We Care Early Educator Symposium and Fair. We Care is the program that I manage. So I manage 579 educators in the city of Chicago through this program. And when I say I mean me directly. So I designed, the program came through the state, but I designed everything they learned in it. And so I would like to offer you the opportunity to come and present at our symposium and fair as a vendor and an opportunity to open up with me and talk about this. That's November 9th.
All right.
With the Westinghouse High School for that. Because I believe in all pathways being open to our young people and not in a full way. You know, we're talking about, and we're going to talk about voting, but what he just said is just so significant because he said they took $5 billion out of after school programs. And what does that mean? That means that now children are on the street.
Yeah.
And so the same thing, the same adage is true in 2024 as it was when I was a child, and that is idle time is the devil's workshop.
Yep.
So if we don't give our children something to do, they will find something to do.
Yeah.
And more often than not, the thing that they find to do is not the right thing. So that is the detriment to having after school programs cut. That is the detriment. And so when you see, or when you hear Chicago Teachers Union saying they have disinvested in our schools, that is part of the disinvestment that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? There is so much other widespread disinvestment, and I'm just going to flag this for you all, and I want to get into this conversation that Brother Nate wants to have that is critical. But the other thing I want to flag for you all is in 2020, I think 2020, I can have the date wrong. The Chicago Teachers Union, in collaboration with other grassroots organizations, fought the state to do a moratorium on school closings. That means we're not going to close any more schools because, as you all know, they at one time closed 50 schools, but in the last 20 years, they didn't close over 100 schools in the city of Chicago, right? So we put a moratorium on school closing. That moratorium was to 2025. I've heard that they extended it, and I've heard that they didn't extend it. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. What I am going to say to you is every school, not every, but the majority of the schools that we know on the west side is on that list of being closed whenever they lift this moratorium. That's Ord, that's Marshall, that's Collins, that's everything except Westinghouse and Michelle Clark.
I have a quick
and
announcement.
maybe on this end, Prosser and Foreman. But right here on the west side that we know, almost every high school is on that school closing list.
I have a quick announcement. Next door is the liquor store, and they make a lot of money there. And so they have a parking lot across the street. So when anything is going on here, I meant to tell everyone to park in the parking lot. They're asking that people move their cars to the parking lot across the street if you're parked on the street.
On the street?
Why?
Right here?
Yeah, if you're parked on this street, they just want you to move over to the lot across the street. So what you'll do
On what
is
side? This side? Are you
Yeah,
parked on this
south,
side?
south.
You parked on this side? I'm parked on this
either side. Either side, because this store is really busy, so they call like twice already. And they came
It's
over.
a public street.
I know.
We
So
actually,
who do they call?
we know, we actually, the people who
It's a
run,
public street.
the guy who runs the gym, owns the liquor store. And
But
they
that doesn't own the public
They
street.
actually you just move your car over there because they're bringing too much traffic. to liquor
They
store.
bring the traffic at the liquor store is it's a high volume, and so they're just saying it's a lot of cars parked out there.
Mhm.
It's a high value, which is a good thing for them.
Right, that's what they might when they come.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand exactly where you're
It's a
coming from.
public street.
We get it, they just be tripping sometimes.
Yeah, but they have the parking lot.
And unlike what Nicholas tried to explain, some shit like that. I know this
It's
is
for the
It's
gym.
a public street.
We actually just actually since you're in the gym and everything, would you park in the parking lot?
But they also,
Which is good.
they also open up this gym to the community too as well. So they provide parking for people who come to this gym.
Exactly.
So they can also have parking available for their customer base.
Right.
So, so they work with us, we work with them.
No, I didn't copy that.
It's a compromise. That's what we gotta learn to do within our community as well.
Let's talk about this
You
election.
didn't understand, right? You made it funny.
Young lady, what do you think about voting for them?
Me,
Yes, ma'am.
Barbara, you know,
I already know.
but look, I just came to the conclusion not to go ahead and.
Why?
A non-vote is a vote.
Thank you.
Well,
Well, nothing.
on a spiritual standpoint.
There is no spiritual standpoint in
Yeah,
politics.
because I know politics don't have nothing to do with spirituality, I know. And I'm not politics, what you call it, correct,
Race and
politically
politics.
correct. I really don't even have no respect for the whole politics.
Kamala,
Okay, let's talk
No,
girl.
don't.
No, let me, no, I wanna talk about I wanna talk about what's personal to you.
That's what I'm trying, let me explain, don't.
I apologize.
Please don't. Thank you, but, Nate, you asked me. You know already that I was already for Donald Trump.
we know, I know that.
I don't care, no woman, I feel, should be president of the United States. No one. I don't care what race they is,
Why?
because that's not a woman's position.
What's a woman's position?
Oh,
Okay, I'm curious.
okay. A woman's position is to assist, to help. That's what a woman is to do, to make sure the structure. Let me give you an example. When my father died,
20th century to me.
listen, when my father died, I was 12 years old, my father died. Everything was smooth and copacetic, right? When he died, everything, I'm talking about, and we had sons, my daddy was in the Air Force, my mom was getting checks for us, each one of like 5 of us. I would have never known that until I became an adult. But it has to do with a lot of things of a woman, especially when they vulnerable. I mean, we women, we know. Let's be realistic about this, women. Real talk.
Why do you like Trump?
Real talk. If everything went right now, the buck stop, I'm not counting on no woman for nothing. Why? Because I'm a woman myself. I can do that part. I need somebody to be able to make sure we rebuild it back up. We go, hey, I'm gonna be a
Are you married?
Excuse me?
Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
So you have children?
My mama was married. My mama, listen. My mother had 12 children. My mama, when my dad died, she was 52 years old. She ain't been with no man since, right? It ain't because she get his Air Force benefits and pension and all that. No, it's because she lost it when he died, like mentally. Women cannot handle certain situations, no matter, I don't care what y'all think.
I'm
a woman myself, and even though you tell me how to calm down, I'm the strongest woman. Look, listen, y'all, please, I'm telling y'all. A woman is not in a position.
Like Trump, so I ask you.
You don't get nothing to do with that, but he is a businessman. He's not a politician. So I'm
He's a
rather.
businessman that's not allowed to have a business in New York because of his history with not paying his taxes, his history with not paying his employees. His history,
That doesn't matter to me.
wait a minute, how can, if he's a businessman, and that's your,
This is who we never
that's
that's as a choice. But look, I'm gonna go back to again. I'm not voting. I'm not voting for neither one because on the spiritual stand, like I said, hold on, I'm just saying.
When you vote, when you don't vote for one, you vote for another.
Because I'm not
When you
listening.
don't vote, you vote.
Listen, listen. Whatever you agree with is what it is. So whoever you pick, that's what it is. So whatever happens after that, you cannot say nothing about.
Why do you like him?
Huh?
Why do you like Donald Trump?
You said why I like that? Yeah. I don't like nobody. I'm almighty. God don't like nobody. Mindset. But it makes sense for him to be. And then another thing, he was a president. We was in a better state. When he
Tell
was
me the better state we were
No,
in.
we're not.
I know I was. I'm talking.
Tell me what that,
personal.
tell me what that better state
No,
is.
we're not.
So I can go into a lot of different
Just anyone.
situations in my life that I was in a better state. But listen, I'm with business sense and things making sense. That's all. That's it. But when it started not making, because there's some things he done said, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, I ain't even going with you either. The main thing is, like, for a woman to say abortion, like they got the whole abortion thing going with this now. They run it. That's the main. How could a woman? That's like the most motherly thing to give birth. That's the most motherly thing to contribute to this world, right? Look, everybody have their own views of what they do or whatever. I already know the game. Like if Judge Joe Brown say, "Hey, this is what it is with this woman," that's what it is. That's her. Excuse me.
He was disbarred. Look, okay, but what I'm saying is the people that you're bringing up.
I'm talking about on the spiritual standpoint. It does not matter. However you're talking about.
Who is him?
All
Who is
this
him like
great,
Donald Trump?
because you know what she did though, right?
Go ahead. What?
You know she was a prostitute. I don't even see how she was ever able to be a prostitute.
How?
How? No, you tell me how.
Well, she
You tell me
went
how
to
she
school
able to be a
for it. She
prostitute.
passed the bar for it.
Yeah, that's
She
what they
wasn't-
say, right?
That's what you have to do,
Oh,
right?
really, yeah.
So she was not only a
John F.
prostitute,
Kennedy, he was at the bar 3 times and he never passed. How did she pass?
she was smart enough to pass the
Oh,
bar.
really? Okay. Well, let me tell you.
So wait, because she's not only passed the bar, she became the state's. Do anybody who don't vote receive public assistance, Medicare? Okay, so well, politics is what make it eligible to get SNAP, to get a medical card, to get Medicaid. All of that's politics because it's policy. But if you're getting SNAP benefits, then are you working and paying taxes? See, we gonna make I want to draw basketball connections, right? Because I know Jehovah's Witnesses that have said that to me, right? They don't believe in politics, but they get SNAP benefits, they get a green card. That's the policy and the politics that make that possible. So to me, if you gonna run from the job, then don't chase the money. If you gonna run from the job, don't chase the money. That's all I'm saying. So those things that you benefit from are political decisions that were made.
That's generational though. That's something we can't fix, we gotta take that.
No, you don't, man, because they can end that.
But we can do better.
The same way. Sweetheart, young lady, the same, let me just say this, as an elected official. The same, the way that you get policy
Trump is gonna end.
and the way that you get an elected is the same way you end it. Depending on who's in charge.
Right, that's why I voted.
Okay.
I ain't gonna, however it goes,
He said what? He said similar thing.
they inherit the debt to us, and I'm talking about the whole other thing, that's all we're gonna talk about.
So
Nobody wanna talk
you
about
voted
the
for Donald
Aboriginal
Trump.
and the side plan and all that stuff, so, all that, that's one
We want to
thing.
talk about the Aboriginal and the
Donald Trump
Indian.
became our president. Yeah, nobody wanna talk about that.
Well,
See, that's what they doing, they skipping over all this whole, that thing that's going on, they're trying to take our rights to our land. You
What
understand?
rights to the land?
Even your own family, I bet you got land that you don't even know down there somewhere south, all of us come from, and your own family cutting you out. So what you expect from anybody else?
Okay, I don't know where we went with that conversation.
A politician, I'm definitely ain't expecting nothing from.
Well, what I'm
That's
saying
all.
is this,
But
if on the chance that my own specific family owned land, then it's being my family's specific responsibility to secure our land
Mhm.
and to use whatever means are available to make sure that we protect our land. One of the ways in which we can protect our land, and this is something you can do right now, in real time, with real property that you may own. You need to do that through the county. So I'm gonna speak on stuff that I actually know about. And that is to do a transfer of deed upon death. What does that mean? That means that I know this brother is a landowner on the west side. And so as soon as humanly possible, if he hasn't done it already, he needs to go down to the Cook County Office of Records deed. Well, they consolidated the office. Used to be Recorder of Deeds. And you need to complete a document that says transfer of deed upon death. That keeps you out of probate court. That
Mhm.
keeps the government out of taking your property. Because you put on the document with your will, with your trust, with all the rest of your important documents, that you, upon your death, you want your house transferred to whoever you're gonna put it in. So if you thinking that you want your child, your son, your daughter to inherit your home upon your death, for anybody who's a property owner in here right now, do a transfer of deed upon death. A lot of our people do not do that. So when our elders pass away, our properties fall into the hands of probate court, which ends up on the deed list, which ends up in scavenger hunt, or which end up in Cook County Land Bank. If you want to prevent that, then do a transfer deed upon death.
All right.
Let me say something. What I really want, we need to really start doing is getting the children involved. That's what we need to do, because we done lost the adults, man. We done lost our adults, you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So we gotta get the children involved, you know what I'm saying? So I know, that's what I speak on, because that's what I know about, you know what I'm saying? And then it's crazy when our kids respect the streets more than they respect our teachers, more than they respect school. You know what I'm saying? That on the low-key side, kids respect the streets more than they respect their mamas, their daddies, respect teachers. You know what I'm saying? Everybody respect the teachers when they there. But once they leave, you know what I'm saying? They respect what's happening in the streets, and that's what they gonna earn. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is, we gotta get hold of our children first, man. That's first. Because everybody else dying out. Everybody else dying out.
Stars in the house.
You know, so it's gonna be right, so we need to do that.
Stars in the house.
Can I just I just want to know, I agree with you. We talked about this before, but what do you propose?
You know, everybody just gotta get involved.
I know, but tell me specifically, what does that look like?
So that's a different conversation. We can't do that right here. We gotta do that like, you know what I'm saying? We gotta close in and really get into that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what we got in place right now, that's working with us and my cousin Dante, we have the Saginaw STEM program. So we have a STEM program, and then we have a STEM after-school program as well with the city of Saginaw, Michigan. And the city has responded to it. We have the transportation, they've sponsored it. Ford Motor Company sponsoring it as well. And the community has come out, and it's been quite successful. And it's teaching kids and getting them involved into science. My cousin Dante Davis, he's also an engineer, works with Elon Musk now, but he worked also on the SpaceX rocket mission. And Calvin Mackey, whose brother is Anthony Mackie, the actor who's playing in the Marvel movies now. Okay, he's the new Captain America. His brother is a black engineer as well. And it's not a lot of black engineers in the business now in this world. So they're teaching kids and getting them introduced. And this is from kindergarten to 12th grade. They have different levels for each groups, but it's getting kids involved into science and getting them into mathematics and teaching them the fun things and trades that they pretty much, you have to learn a trade nowadays because of the way we're going right now.
You know, well, they should have never took trades out.
Right.
But one of the things I'm pushing through my program, through CTU, and having these kind of conversations with the new members that's going to be coming on as elected representative to the school board, is to start speaking about the trades as STEM. I think that they're separating, they separated STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math from trades, but everything that's required in trades is science, technology, engineering, and math.
Exactly.
And the reason I think it's important to bring trades underneath the umbrella of STEM is because all the government funds is going to STEM program.
Yep.
So.
To touch on what he said, I think it's real important, like you said, to start at home. We need to, parents need to start parenting again. That's why our younger generation is so lost. You know, parents not being parents, they want to do what the kids doing. And you can't do that. You gotta lead by example.
So in lieu of that, what do we do? Because that's the struggle. That's the struggle that as an educator I face in classrooms.
Again, it's gonna take for us to be get involved in the community, feet on the ground. It's gonna take feet on the ground, us getting involved in the community, us having these putting programs in place, teaching our own kids, putting financial literacy curriculum in place, because that's big within the Black community. We weren't taught financial literacy. I'm 43 years. I'll be 43 years old Monday, and I'm just getting my finances in order. I'm a business owner. I was in a program in elementary school at Ella Flagg Young. There was an entrepreneur program in 7th grade that made me want to be a business owner since I was a kid. We need to put those programs in place for the youth. I went to Western House Vocational High School at the time. I was going to the Western House Career Academy. Everybody not made to go to college. Everybody not going to go to college. So I think vocational programs are very important for the youth so they can have job readiness skills and be prepared for life after high school versus wasting time. Like you say, the idle time is the devil's playground. So we got to keep kids involved and keep them doing things. This program here was a great outlet for my daughter. ABC Boxing Club. Every day after she got out of school, we was here 5 days a week. My daughter was very introvert, as they call it now. She stayed to herself. She wasn't real social. That brought her out to being social. You know, it opened up a lot of avenues for her. She now in a program called Beat the Street Chicago, which she wrestles. They also have a program called Life Champions, where they meet once a month every Sunday, and they teach them financial literacy. They have talk about job readiness skills. They just recently had like a mini job fair. They had colleges come out and had a combine where they was able to show their talents to colleges and be recruited. You know, but I think it's gonna take for us to all be involved, start going back to alderman meetings, township meetings. All those things are important. See, the focus. See, everybody think the presidential election is very important, but we need to start back doing our due diligence and paying attention to who we put in office as judges, senators, aldermen.
can I connect what you're saying to the vote that's happening right now?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's talk about
So
it.
I just wanted to draw some, a parallel to what we're voting on right now, to what he's saying, to what the other gentleman said about the budgets being cut, and the proximity to relevance. So I think I heard you say a lot of people focus on the presidential race, which you should, it's important. But I think you were also making the point that down that ticket, down that ballot, the closer that election is to where you actually live, work, and play,
Right.
is the one that's most germane, is gonna have the most impact on your day-to-day.
Yep.
So I wanted to just drill down on that so that we both are saying the same thing and I'm not putting words
Yeah,
in
the
your mouth.
three branches.
So let me finish out the thought. So to his point, for the first time ever in the city of Chicago, we are having an elected representative school board election.
Mhm.
Chicago has never had an elected representative school board. The representative school board for Chicago has always been appointed.
Yep.
It started being appointed by the mayor in 1995, when the mayor took over control of the public school, which at that time was Daley. So it was Daley. He took over the school system. He put it under the umbrella of a CEO. So we went from a school model to a business model of education. So the budget for Chicago Public Schools is a $9 billion budget. The budget for the school system alone is as big as the county budget, is as big as the city's budget. What we are finding right now, or what has been happened after 3 times at the state level, it was not approved. So you've had activists, organizers who have become elected officials like Delia Ramirez, Lakeisha Collins, other folks who are at the state level that have passed the legislation for Chicago, the biggest school district in the state of Illinois, to finally have an elected representative school board. The most important word in that sentence is representative. So that means that the people who are voting on the budget and what happens in the school is going to be reflective of the people who actually use the Chicago public school system. So you got 10 of those people who are running from grassroots organizations, and they are facing off with people who have been selected and chosen by big business. Now, who do I mean? You got the Slave for Chicago Teachers Union. That's the organization that fought to even get an elected representative school board. When it got shut down 3 different times, it gone through the state, it got voted down. It got voted down. Finally, on the 4th time, 3rd or 4th time, it passed. So Delia Ramirez passed that legislation. That legislation passed, and now we're in this moment where we get to have our first ever elected representative school board. But so much dark money is being poured into this race. The Waltons, that's the people who own Walmart, have spent $400,000 in this race. Why do they care about what happens to Chicago public school children or what happens with our budget? Because they don't, but it's big business. The president of Netflix has spent $100,000 in this race. The president who owns Inc. has spent over $250,000 in this race. So collectively, millions and millions of dollars from corporate millionaires and billionaires are being poured into this race. For the school district, that's still 80% Black and brown, right? Only a little more than 12% of the Chicago public school children are white, but they make up 80% of selective enrollment schools. So even within the same district, we have created a separate and unequal school system, even though it's one district, District 299. What's the point to that? Well, the point is that we get to vote on who we want to be our representative at the elected representative school district. This is the 5th district. The person running in the 5th district is Aaron G2 Brown. That brother has been on the front line of education justice for the last 20 years. I don't know if you all remember when Diet, the last public high school in Bronzeville, was slated to be closed and consolidated.
Yeah.
They went on a hunger strike for 34 days to keep that school open to neighborhood children. It was 12 educators and parents. Yes, right here. It was 12 educators and parents that starved themselves for 34 days to keep that school open. So who who actually gets elected to that school board, to his point, is critically important, because that board will be deciding not only who the they call them CEOs. When I was a young person, they were superintendents. So it used to be a superintendent of schools, but when they moved toward the corporate model, it became the CEO of schools. And presently, that person is Pedro Martinez, who was actually fired from his last job, and then he sued his last job for firing him. So he has a history. He's a very litigious person. He has a history of suing boards. That being on that side, that board is responsible for whether or not we change the way children get enrolled, whether or not schools get closed or not, how teachers are funded, if teachers are funded, how schools get money, that what curriculum is used, what curriculum is not used, depending on who's sitting on that board. They're the entity that's controlling the Chicago Public Schools, which is 600 schools and 250,000 students. Mostly Black and brown students. So whether or not CPS adopts the Barrio and this curriculum, and inner city school kids are learning this curriculum or not, that's going to be the Chicago Public School. Some schools, and in some areas, some communities, our community is ran by a network, and I know I'm going down the weeds with this, but this is, you all need to understand these levels of how our situations get controlled. But in other communities, still city of Chicago, they're not controlled by a network. Their principal and that community controls what happens in that school. So at Ella Flagg Young, they're controlled by a network because of their test scores or whatever imaginary criteria they come up with, right? They get controlled by the district. They got to be responsible for the district. That district is watching everything they do. They micromanaging them and all of that kind of thing. But in Lincoln Park, they're not. So the little elementary school, Lincoln, Newberry, they're under a school district. They're in a network, but they are not responsible to the network. They can bypass the network and deal straight with Chicago teachers. Straight with Chicago Public Schools. Why is that important? Because in different spaces, they're managing what our children learn and what they don't learn. And that's why that's important. I, as a member of Chicago Teachers Union, as administrator of New Teacher Development, I pushed for multicultural language starting in pre-K, at least in kindergarten. Why would you do that? Because we're not going to get past the browning of the United States. Our children need to be bilingual. Our children need to be bilingual. Not because I think some other language is better or worse or not. It's because I understand the lay of the land that's happening in this country. And if we are not ensuring that this school system has a responsibility to educate our children so that they are bilingual, what's going to happen is as America continues to depend on immigrant labor and you have more languages coming in, Black children who are monolinguistic are going to be further left behind. Because any other immigrant coming to this country is not only bilingual, many of them are trilingual, and they have us to focus on other brown people, whether it's the Venezuelans or the Mexicans. But other immigrants are Africans and are Haitians and are Black, are Koreans. I was in Niles for a meeting and the entire work staff at the Walmart was Indian. But when you talk about immigrants, do you think Indians? No. When we have a conversation about immigration, we're very limited in terms of that scope and that scan of what immigrants look like. Do you talk about the 20,000 Ukrainians that came over here at the same time that the 12,000 Venezuelans came over? No. You know why? Because they came over due to policy as refugees. When you come to the country, the United States of America, with a certain identification, you get certain accesses. Yeah. We, Black people, they diverted our attention to be mad at the Venezuelans. They diverted our attention away from being mad at the Ukrainians. Yeah. Yeah. But the Ukrainians came over before the Venezuelans even came over, and they came over in higher numbers. But you never saw them sleeping outside the police station. Oh, no. Right? Because when they came over, based on what they came over with as refugees, as asylums, as refugees, they came over and got all the benefits of that. They also got seamlessly integrated into the Ukrainian community. Yep. Right? The Indians, when they came over, and I mean Indians from India, I don't mean Native Americans. They come over and get seamlessly embedded into an existing community, although they are still immigrants.
Yeah.
right? So we got to be very careful about how public media is structuring the immigrant issue,
Stop being so easily
right?
distracted.
They're structuring the immigrant issue in a very particular way. She talked, she had her hand up, and then you
Yeah,
went up.
I
I'm
live-
sorry, you was first, so 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I live out there, so I know.
Like anytime anything happens, even with them, you know, with the, what they call migrants and illegal aliens or whatever, when they,
Immigrants, new arrivals.
okay, do you think that all this was planned? Because I would think back about Ukraine, as I think about what was going on in Inglewood, going back when the two females that got shot. They had like an organization where they was every day out, you know, changing the neighborhood, and somehow they just got killed. You remember that? Them two women?
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of have.
And that was right. Anti-violence activists in the same area where they redid the Ukraine and rebuilt that whole thing for Ukraine. But that was years ago, right? Do you just like the project? They built the project. They planned. It always was planned beforehand, like 20 years, 10 years, whatever planned. Like this is all planned. Just like this election, it has no come, the outcome is pre-planned.
It's playing who gonna win.
Who gonna win?
Who gonna win?
Okay, I
Who
don't.
gonna win?
Yeah.
Did you have a? Were you making?
Why?
Were you making a
They
statement, sister?
they planned it. They even make it like when she comes to the have the convention, like it's a lot of people there. It's not really like
Well,
They were.
They
I was at the
try to
DNC,
manipulate
and I've been
our
at the rallies, and there are thousands of people there.
But that's not a lot of people still to me.
Baby, if 10,000 people show up for
If she
you,
wanted to be a president, I see empty seat. If she
Young-
wanted to be a
young
well,
lady.
she's not fully supported because she's not getting no support.
Well, you know what, sister?
You know, why not? Why not?
Nobody.
It's
Barack
going on.
Obama wasn't fully supported. Nobody is ever really fully supported. You're gonna have dissenters
Let's
on
talk
either
about
side.
Yeah, but I said, like Barack, it's all planned. This is nothing that this was already, you know, pre-planned to.
So why are they campaigning so
Okay,
hard?
right. I don't have a. You can say that I was.
I mean, Barack Obama can
No,
stay
I
at
got-
home. He
I
ain't
got-
gotta go out and campaign.
Young lady, young lady, young lady,
You'll see this a real election.
young lady.
Only way I can check the vote, like how you ask, you have to individually ask everybody.
Because he had a question, and he had a question.
Hold on,
The
man.
real one, the good ones. They're gonna show you who wins. That's how-
And trust a good source is injusticewatch.com.
Yes,
So
very good one.
What is it?
I wanted to go back to what the children we were talking when we had said shot the kids today. First of all, there are, and thank you, sister, and your family and everybody who do these things with kids. And I've been doing it for over 30 years as well. And, but the thing is, right now, we don't have any damn thing for adults. We keep saying that, like one thing you said, because the parents is lost. We giving up on the parents. That's the reason. That's what's fucked up out here now, because they've given up on the parents. And I remember coming up in Cabrini Green, we had you go right across the street and get your GED. Okay, they worked with those parents, you know, so we can raise our children. It's vice versa now. Everybody throwing all this behind the kids. Get us to the kids, get us kids, and they're fucking up the neighborhood. You know why? Because they're kids. You don't give the power to them. You take back your power. And the thing is we're seeing parents so quickly just give up and say, but we're blaming everything on the kids. But it's the parents not getting involved. Like you had said where your kid is going, then have you connected to other parents and said, well, my kids is going here. So our thing is, y'all, all these parents don't reach out to the kids, reach out to the parents. Because those they're responsible for the kids, and what we got now is we got a food desert. We got a desert that's nobody gives a fuck about what happened to these parents, because these parents was young as hell. Right now we're dealing with parents from the 90s, okay, who didn't have the upbringing that say I had, or where education is first and putting back. They don't, like you said, they playing with they partying with the kids, stuff like that. Well, the thing is, so let's channel that energy, the same energy that we're channeling to try to get these kids, order, let them reach out to these parents, ask them what they need.
Well,
You know,
speaking from
you know-
an educator's point of view, some educators,
It's
I parent my
programs
parents.
for adults.
I parent my parents because I do know that they are young, they're kids raising kids. And so that puts more stress on us, right? So I don't think that it's
That's a
necessary.
community thing, not for the not for the teachers. I'm talking for the community.
But it
Yeah.
always end up in the classroom though. It always end up in the classroom, that's just clear. It ends up in the classroom.
And it often ends up being the responsibility of the teacher.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be that way, but it often is. But
But we need
No,
we need those programs.
No, let me say this. A, you're absolutely correct. B, when the last time that I was in the classroom was December 4th, 2020. The last programs I had specifically addressed that. And so this is my challenge to go back to the voting, right? So as a part of this elected representative school board that we're trying to vote for, a big part of what we're proposing is sustainable community schools. Sustainable community schools are created grounding the community, which means that we partner with an existing community organization to bring those kind of programs back to the school, and so that the school becomes the hub of the community again. So you can bring GED back to the school for parents. You can bring work readiness programs back to the community for parents. But the only way we get this vision of what schools can be that can truly service our whole community is if we elect the right elective representative school board, so we can push an agenda that will center the whole community in education.
Let me go around that, bro. They got resources for kids, right? But we just gotta get involved because look, man, they done built whatever that is on Laramie, they built another one on Laramie. But you know what I'm saying? All the kids can't go to that.
That's by the hand.
They bust them in, they busting kids into these things. You know what I'm saying? How this stuff built in the Austin area or whatever, but the kids in the Austin area can't go to this one or they can't go to that one. See, that's how they got this structure. That's why
Because a lot of parents are not involved.
That's why I said parents gotta get involved. Like you said, these different parents, man, and then they ain't got the type of structure for these parents these days to help them get involved, to help them understand, to help them know the structure of different things.
So a couple of the things that you all are hitting at, both of them are legitimate and real. But I think what I'm experiencing, and maybe what you all experiencing as well, is that it can't be a one-off. Right? It has to be a consolidated plan of execution. That is why it's critical to have an elected representative school board that's going to center community so that you can build sustainable community schools. Because in building sustainable community schools, which the contract now calls for 45, we already have 20 in the city. But what that does is what I said. So the parenting that's necessary doesn't become a one-off. It becomes a critical element and a critical building block of how we ground schools as a focus in community to rebuild community. So I think the other reason that is critical for us to want to do that and vote for an elected representative school board again in our district, which is District 5, that is G2 Brown, and District 3, which is Humboldt Park, that's Jason Donez, right? Who I'm suggesting. Y'all look at the ballot, y'all decide. In District 5, that's the whole west side, as we know it. This west side, Lawndale, that's Aaron G2 Brown. In District 3, which is Humboldt Park and going east, is Jason Donez. The reason I know that is because I told y'all that how my district is. Okay. Wait. Because this brother had his hand up, he was patient, everybody else talked around him, sir, in the red jogging suit.
First of all, I want to be real brief about what I'm
Thank you
about
for
to
your
say.
patience.
Well, that's the glory of it all, patience. But I heard quite a few things. I heard Proverbs 22, train a boy up in the way he should go, and when boy child, and the way he should go, and when he departs from it, and when he gets older, he will not depart from it. I've heard nationality being the order of the day. You talk about the border, you talk about Venezuelans, you talk about Mexicans, etc. First of all, what we have to understand that we are one people, but we are not a nation of people. See, nationality is the order of the day. People don't realize that if it's 52 countries in the United Nations, you will not find an American flag there. You will not find a black man a flag there. You're not going to find no African American flag there. You're not going to find anything that denotes true nationality of the people that were lost, found people in North America. What I'm talking about is that all these people that's getting these benefits right now, we talking about the immigrants, the benefits, whoever these people are, all these people came from us. We are the builders of civilization. We the first in creation, the cream of the planet. You see what I'm saying? But what it is, people don't have no knowledge of themselves. They don't have no true knowledge of themselves. They run around thinking that they black, they Negro, they nigger. And that word right there, that nigger word, that has to sneeze. Because this is the thing, constitutional rights. When you go back to the Free National Law of 1865, when Abraham Lincoln supposedly freed slaves according to the Emancipation Proclamation, he said that we had to relieve ourselves from all of the ramifications that delude to slavery. You see what I'm saying? But we keep it in existence today because you want to hate me because I'm light-skinned. You want to hate him because he got money and he got a business. You want to hate her because she can speak eloquently. Because Willie Lynch's letter is still in existence today. That's why they don't have to come in our communities and make slaves no more. We make them now. We breed them. You see what I'm saying? This is what they do. This is how they done got into the psychological effect of us all. You see, because we think that money makes a man. But it's not money that makes a man and a nation. It's pre-national standards and power that makes a man and a nation.
Well, what incorporates that? Law.
Exactly.
Policy. So you have to vote and change the policies and change the law to reverse these.
That's
things.
a fact. But you don't do that individually and you don't do that religiously. What you do that is as a nation of people.
It have to be
a house divided against itself cannot stand.
That's
Where there's
right.
unity, there's strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. You follow what I'm saying? Now, if you look at everybody that's getting these free national status and exercising that power according to their nationality, Mexicans ain't got no problem on 26th Street doing what they need to do over there according to their free national status and power. The Puerto Ricans ain't got no business, ain't got no problem with doing it. The Irish ain't got no problem with doing it. The Japanese ain't got no problem with doing it. But look at what they're attacking.
So he's asking you to draw the connection between what you're saying, which is eloquent, and how that tie into the election.
Coming up?
Wait a minute, say it again, bro.
How important is the next election coming up to you? And are you
Based on what you're saying, what is the connection?
And are you voting?
It's definitely important because voting is a right. We had to fight for that. We thank Martin Luther King for the Civil Rights Act, etc. But people saying that they held with Martin Luther King because he was nonviolent, and he took a butt whooping, etc. But we're not looking at the real accomplishment. You see,
And not talking about Fannie Lou Hamer, who got beat in her head for the same right, and who was a black woman who came out of the sharecropping South and was so eloquent and was so badass that she was able to speak at the Democratic National Convention and demand her rights as a citizen of this country. I understand everything you said, brother, about the national and what you pointed out, and how other ethnic groups rally around their common interests. You are absolutely correct in that. What we're trying to say is we must also rally around our common interests, but we must also, this is what Tara is saying, we must also assert our rights as citizens of this country, not devoid of Black people, but inclusive of. This is a system of addition right now. This is a system of addition. And yes, there's a lot for America to atone for, the reparations that we do, all of that. But for right now, one moment, for the next 3 days, what you're talking about, my brother, even what the sister was mentioning, that's the homework. This is the test. We don't have time for a makeup assignment.
No, we don't.
We are being tested on November 5th about what's going to happen for the future of this country. And if you ain't considering yourself, consider your children.
Right.
And I'm going to say, because we will do for our children what we may not even do for ourselves. The other thing that they conflate in this argument, where we need to expand this conversation, is they want to narrow it in on reproductive rights. Right? One moment, brother. I believe what happens between a woman, her body, is between her body, her God, and her doctor. That's what I believe. But this is what is critically important that get left out of the conversation around reproductive rights, because it's more expedient and it's more comfortable and it's more convenient to have us arguing over ideology. You pro-life, I'm anti-abortion. It's interesting that the same people are also for the death penalty, but they're anti-abortion, but they're for the death penalty. Same group of people. What gets left out of the conversation is that as a woman, and I'm gonna ask my cousin this, from the time you start your cycle, what is the first question they ask you at the doctor? If you went to the dentist, what would they ask you? What was the last day of your period? And are you pregnant? If I went to the podiatrist, if I went to go check on my feet and the sister nodding her head, they'll say, when was your last period? Why am I saying that to a room mostly filled with men? Because the conversation is not just about whether I believe in abortion or not. Every medical decision that impacts a woman is based on her reproductive health. Every single one. Whether it's from her hair, can she get a perm? Is she resistant? Medication, all of it. If we get an earache, if something happens to our eyes, the first question we're going to be asked is, when was the last day of your period and are you pregnant?
X-rays, all of it.
All of it. So this conversation about reproductive health is so much bigger than whether I agree with abortion or not. You are telling me when you say that, it's so much bigger than that. It's about the government trying to determine for women every medical decision that impacts them.
Right now, being a man is sitting behind your woman.
You have in some place, so that's why this election is so critical.
Okay, that's what I want to say.
Project
Look, I want to listen to me close. I've been around this, almost around this country, been in the music business. I didn't sign people and been around. I still talk to people from different states that's deep in the communities. And look, nobody really, man, cares about the woman thing. Because the people who won't determine this election don't even care about that.
Who gonna determine it?
You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be a lot of young people determining this election.
Are you gonna
see what I'm
determine?
saying?
Are you too, right?
I'm determining this election. I'm just saying, the people, most of the people, we didn't get to them. We didn't get to them on that part you're talking about. We didn't get to the most important people that we needed to get to. We focus on a certain section of people.
The most important people are right here in this room. They're right here in this community. That's the most
See, I
important
ain't talking
people.
about that. I'm talking about we didn't focus on the right people with what she was saying, with women's right. Women need, this and that. We didn't get that. We didn't get that home to a lot of people in different ages. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna vote.
But
For example, to his point, if you 16 now or 17 now, you get pregnant, you live in Florida, you can't do nothing but have a baby, right? No matter if you was raped, no matter if you was molested, none of that matter. Don't even matter if your health, because women bearing a child is the closest you're gonna get to death as a woman, right? A lot of women die in childbirth. That's an issue that we don't deal with a lot. I understand you saying like there's a group that's been missed, but in a lot of ways that group has been targeted. You know what's happening with that group? They target that group and then they don't show up at the polls. That group, I'm not disagreeing with you. That group has to be handheld. Thus, you don't have to worry about whether elders are gonna vote because they're gonna vote hook or crook. What I hear you saying is that age group, that young people, those 18 to 24 or 18 to 32, who may still be out here doing their thing and they're eligible to vote. We need to be having real conversations with them in a grassroots level that speaks to their immediate need, that draws the connection between their personal choice and political power.
That's what I'm saying. The people who gonna sneak to them polls at them ages, we didn't get to them. We focus on, you know what I'm saying, man, there's some stars and different things like
But
that.
that's not
the people up there that look like the people. You know what I'm saying? That look like the people, putting the people on the stage that look like the people and let them holler and talk. Look, we need this election, this and that. Not no Jennifer Lopez. Not no Jennifer Lopez. Not no Beyonce. That ain't nothing. You know, to keep it real. It might look like something. But you know what I'm saying? When people really behind them closed doors, that's nothing to them.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on. She's been elected. right now. So, and she's speaking to her name.
Right, so let me throw this back at you. Again, because I'm gonna tell you, there's the homework and then there's the test. Okay? And what I'm gonna challenge, so what I'm gonna challenge each person in this room, that understands what's at stake, right? That understands that should this election go a different way, they will abolish education. They will abolish the Department of Education. Should this election go a certain way, they will abolish Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. Should this election go a certain way, they will, as if they ain't done it already, weaponize our local police officers.
They're gonna kill us.
Should this election go a certain way, they have already told you. They're going to declare trap. They are prepared to turn the military against its own citizens. Should this election go a certain way. So I don't give a damn about all of this other what's really at stake. What's really at stake is everything he's saying. And I'm gonna say, it ain't like they ain't been doing it anymore. But they gonna make it legal. Do y'all know? Wait. And this is how they can make it legal. They have told y'all they gonna make it legal. And they can make it legal. So let me give y'all an example about how they can make it legal. Because you have a lot of people who like, they can't do that. Yes, they can. Because Boss Daily, declared shoot to kill. And they did it. On the west side. This country believes it has practiced domestic terrorism. We've practiced it. So that's what's at stake in this country. And so the challenge is this, to the brother's point. And you may not be me. I done been a lot of places. I done knocked doors. I done phone bank. I done gave money. Because I don't want to wake up on November 6th and I have done everything that I can do to make sure that I push this election in the direction that I need to go. Not just for me, but for generations yet unborn. Like Fannie Lou Hamer did for us. Like Frederick Douglass did for us. Like generations upon generations of Black people who sacrificed themselves for generations yet unborn. We don't even begin to know the sacrifice that our ancestors made so that we can sit in these seats. So I can sit in this seat right now. A sacrifice was made. A blood sacrifice was made. So that I can sit in this seat right now, I don't take that lightly. I owe it to my ancestors and I owe it to my future to do whatever I can to push this election in the direction I believe it needs to go for us as Americans, as Black Americans, as poor and oppressed people, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as all of that. All of those same things that folks said they benefited from. You could call that a rap.
Yeah.
You could call that a rap.
And they're gonna eliminate Roe versus Wade.
So the challenge is this. If you have relatives in your family who are in that demographic of that voting age that, according to Brother Tavares, believes is vulnerable, right? That 18, I'm gonna say 18 to 24, maybe even 18 to 30. And you think that age group is vulnerable, then my challenge to you, I'm gonna begin as I began, operate within your circle of influence.
Yeah.
So that means you go get your nephews and take them to vote. You go have some critical, uncomfortable conversations with your nieces and your daughters and your great nieces and your great nephews. We got to have critical, uncomfortable conversations about what's at stake in this country on November 5th, because it's only a handful of people in this room that even know what that might even look like. It's only a handful of people in this room who were adults in the 60s or who was young adults in the 60s. And if you was a young adult in the 50s and 60s, you know what it's meant when we say we can't go back, because you know what back looks like. Back looks like black people showing up at the poll and saying, how many jelly beans in this jar?
The 50s and 70s too.
Black looks like a poll tax where you gotta pay. Back looks like a literacy test where you gotta take a test to demonstrate if you can read so you can vote.
Mm-hmm.
Black looks like, or back looks like 5 different precincts telling you are not registered to vote here, but you're walking mile and mile and mile and mile to vote. That's what back looks like. We don't know that because we, Tara, came of age in a time where I could register and I could go and cast my vote. I didn't have to pay a poll tax. I didn't have to count jelly beans. I didn't have to do a literacy test. But the only reason I'm able to do that is because people made a blood sacrifice for me to be able to do it.
We stand up some strong shoulders. We're gonna take one last comment, guys, then we have to wrap it
We're
up.
gonna take a question because we can pontificate.
Yes, because this conversation is endless, trust me. Go ahead real quick and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Right, because there's some key things all y'all touched on, but we zero in and we zero out, we get nowhere.
Right.
We got to confirm some things.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? So you saying a lot of things that's definitely outstanding. But what we have to do is let's go back to the root. Forget the branch. Let's stay on the root. The root is mental slavery. The only thing that these people got free from was chattel slavery. They just took the chains off of them. And all they did was put them on the brain. You see, it's about transition.
Are you in prison in your brain?
No, I'm a free man.
So guess what? I need you to free others.
That's,
Come on now.
No. We're not gonna pontificate. I need you to take your power as a free man and free other brothers to your level of understanding.
You're not letting us make our point.
No, what I'm saying is we can keep going. We can keep going. We can keep going. We can keep going. But I'm saying every free thinking person who has that awareness got to share that awareness with other people. That's all I'm saying. That's my only point. Each one teach one. Reach one.
And with that said, guys, I want
Anybody
you
want to take a picture with the Lincoln
I want to
Brown
real quick
Guns
before you
and
leave, Freeze, before you
take a
leave.
picture with this Browns gun.
Hey, before
But
before
just
you
think
leave,
about this.
before you leave,
If they
Thank
get
you for having
elected,
me. And I didn't mean no disrespect.
real quick,
they will
before you-
eliminate Roe versus Wade, and that is very serious.
And he get to appoint 5
Let's go ahead and take
judges
the pictures and go.
and about 12 federal judges and as many as 72 other judges.
We don't have a chance.
All I'm saying is a lot of this conversation been about the homework and we got the test. That's all I'm saying. Are we getting in the picture?
Yeah, everybody.
Wait, one moment. Let's get in the picture, y'all.
Let's go.
Picture.
Everybody, come on.
Fred, come on. Wait. All right.
All ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, more. 1, 2. Everybody say vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. It's still cool back here. Anybody want to take any with them?
How are you? Thank you. Thank you all.
What's up, man?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Let me get this picture real quick.
If you create the programs, the parents will come.
Going inside the doors.
If they have free programs,
Out here right now, getting some right now.
if it's free programs, and it's up to the parents and the people to reach out to them, say, hey, we got these programs here. Come bring them kids. It's
Oh,
on
I'm also on the ballot.
A lot of doors.
I'm on the ballot for the general election, First District of County Commission. All right.
All right.
See you. We wrap up. I'm gonna be in.
You coming in, T?
Thank you, Mr. Monroe.
All right.
You won a lot of people over in this chat.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, give me that. Give me my medal.
You will send it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Give me my medal. I'll let you hold. Let me get
That's my good.
Give my,
Give this medal back.
I gotta get a picture of y'all. Give my husband a hard time.
Oh, yeah, you
We'll
did
be
good.
talking
You had
later.
the whole chat going crazy.
We still gotta continue talking to y'all. Wait a minute, get pictures in there. Come on, pictures.
Yeah, you need the county and the city.
Yeah, yes.
But
Yeah.
if you got the proposal, then I can
Yeah.
take it through that channel.
Okay,
That's what I
thank
can.
you. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect,
You
perfect.
see, Trump then united the whole Puerto Rico now.
I know, man. That's crazy.
They got Rosie
That's
Perez. Everybody came out.
Yeah, but everybody. Of course.
So the WBA gonna give you your belt yet?
You're not gonna get both the champions?
What name? Nate.
Nate, get in there. The picture with Fred. Oh, and then talk to you if you leave, bro. Oh. Yeah. Nah.
You just doing the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Just yeah. I've been helping Nate with his thing most. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to say, because I have had this institution like for them to live certain age.
All right, let me see if I.
It's full if anybody else have any.
And I had to read it on.
Oh, then we
How
got.
much you in charge of teaching?
Yes.
Shit, it ain't really nothing really to do with it. I just hit the button and go. But it's like
Still taking a little time. Still taking a setup though.
pretty much, but now it's so changed. But like they've added new stuff that way back from when I first started, it was entirely different. But now I'm like, there was no live streaming, it was none of that. We just upload videos, we just make them on our phone. So it's just mostly just consistency. That's the best thing, being consistent. Like every day doing something different.
You ain't got no phone. You got a business number or something.
All that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also on that conversation, whatever Town of Pharaoh, Emma. But they not all.
All right. All right.
What's your name?
See, they knew she was special when she was born. I said they knew you were special when you were born.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where you go?
You know, I'm over there working with the kids, man. Every dollar they take is
Yeah. What's up? Don't forget to subscribe to the Nate Jones Story. Okay. It's been a beautiful day.
We didn't even talk about that. No, I need to make sure that,
Thank y'all for listening.